I couldn't be found out my big home. The bare necessities of life will come to you. They'll come to you.
It is a beautiful fall day, meaning it's cold as hell, and we're gonna get this tank ready for some salt water. So none of you really got a good look of it. I know it's kind of hard in that the first video that I showed this, ignore the mess of the garage. So this is the 125 acrylic aquarium that I got roughly about a year ago, or at least close to that. So what I have, so I set up some moving towels, carpets, whatever you want to call it, so I can put the tank down over there. I can finish cleaning it up, eating all the gunk out. The tank was used as a freshwater tank prior. I do not know how old it is, but you can see there are some imperfections like this crack. I got it for pretty cheap. I got this thing with the stand for about 400 bucks. So I need to do some cleaning. I have a buffering kit, so I'm going to buffer and polish this guy out. So the first step for drilling the overflow box is I want to make sure everything is aligned correctly. So there are these pre-cut slits in the top of the tank that should provide me enough room that if anything gets stuck in there, I might be able to get it out with my finger. But I want to also I want to prevent any fish or snail or whatever I may end up having in the tank getting into the overflow box. So I'm trying to get it as close to the top as possible, but also giving myself enough clearance in the event that I need to maybe get in there myself. So I'm trying to aim it for where the water level will be at max capacity. Once I did finish drilling it, it came out looking great, so I'm happy with where it is. Now this kit, or this overflow box, came with this really cool template, made it extremely easy to line everything up, and it lines up perfectly for what's going to be in the tank. So I know exactly where I'm drilling for this to be fit perfectly with the interior of the tank, because the exterior hangs a little lower, so it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to then get this, make sure it's in place for when I start drilling the tank so it doesn't move around. So I just went and got I had some Gorilla Tape laying around, which is great for this kind of project. It's not going to hurt the acrylic or anything like that, and it has it's a very strong bond for what it is, and it's easy to come off when I need it to. So once I got it lined up perfectly, I did not use a straight edge or anything like this. Having it so close to the top, it was pretty easy to eyeball it, so I kind of just took the risk, and it came out actually pretty well. So I was very careful when I put the tape on there, made sure nothing moved, and I got both edges, so it came out great. It was easy to drill, nothing moved around or slid around or anything like that, so this actually worked out pretty nicely for me. So I know it's not the easiest to see, but it looks pretty good to me. I went ahead and did it once I put the overflow box on. I did not notice any kind of slanting or having it on the wrong angle or anything like that. So I would consider this a success. So the overflow box kit did come with a diamond coated drill bit, normally used for glass aquariums when you're drilling, but I didn't see an issue and it actually worked out just fine. I didn't have a single issue with this. Again, there were a couple times I got a little nervous. The cordless drill, or the corded drill, is a bit powerful, so I kind of got nervous and I had to go back, and it kind of caught me off guard just how powerful this drill is. I've used it before, of course, but you know, having my tank and this investment on the line, I wanted to be as careful as I could be, but I knew this had to happen, and I didn't want to go pay someone $200 to do it, especially looking at all these other YouTubers and, you know, articles about how easy it is and that I shouldn't be worried, just be cautious, and it ended up being okay. So lessons learned, and it ended up being okay. So I would say if I can do it, you sure can too. But yeah, the holes came out great. They were smooth. I ended up sanding them down a little bit later on when I installed the overflow box, but you can see the holes or the acrylic pieces that after I was finished with them, and they don't look the best. They look like I took off a chunk of acrylic, but I couldn't see anything. It looked fine to me, so job well done. I did end up cleaning it out a little bit, getting all the extra acrylic pieces out, but I probably didn't even have to bother with this, especially since I ended up the next day drilling out bulkheads for my return. I have been kind of switching up my plan a little bit, so here is a diagram of what I originally was planning on, but seeing how the overflow box is kind of in the way, I didn't want to have to get more plumbing just to have this overflow on the right hand side, so I decided having two returns on the left hand side, especially I think it'll be fine flow wise. I wanted to have water flowing from both or from each angle, or from each side of the tank, but I'm not too worried about it, especially since I can compensate with power heads and other things down the road. So but I felt like this would be the easiest method for plumbing wise, and it's not really going to have a significant impact on anything, because at the moment there's nothing in there, and I can always, compensate with other equipment down the road. Another thing to note on these diagrams, so the second one is what I ended up going with, and the one thing to note is that this doesn't account for all the different bends, so you'll just see basically the basic path and outline of what I'm trying to do, but it doesn't have it, so there are PVC pipes that have to go downward and then inward, so you don't really see it going inward in this diagram. But there's something to note if you're planning out your own plumbing, is to take into account all the different turns and bends and things that you got to do to make sure that the pipe reaches the endpoint successfully. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what I did for the crack on the top of the tank. So actually what I did, I have some Weld-On 4, and I found a piece of acrylic, which I'll link in the description below, which actually fit this perfectly, so I didn't have to cut anything. It's not as thick as the rest of the tank, which is fine, and honestly at the end of the day, it accomplished what I set out to do, even if it wasn't the best job ever. So I made sure I cleaned off the surface very, very thoroughly, or at least I tried to the best. So what I probably wish I would have done is I wish I would have gone and polished it off, but I'm not really going to be looking at the top. The only thing that really could ever be concerned is what interaction or impact this has on my lighting down the road, but I mean, it's not gonna, I don't think it's going to be such a significant impact that I really have to worry about it. And being my first tank, I'm not trying to make this thing absolutely perfect. This was a cheap find on Craigslist, so I knew it was going to have imperfections. And the moment I saw it, I mean, it was gorgeous on the listing and in person, and once I do polish the front, which is what I'm going to be looking at, the rest of it won't even matter. And then the following day, I wanted to do something more, and I went ahead, I couldn't stop thinking about it all night long. I was tossing and turning, thinking about what I can do to kind of get this going, and I had an order that I was about to place on Bulk Roof Supply for all of my plumbing that I needed, but it was turning out to be extremely expensive doing the Schedule 80 stuff, and I know it would look really nice, but honestly, the plumbing isn't the biggest thing for me, and my entire point on this build is making sure that I can get the best I can do within my budget. So I'm kind of titling this as my 125 gallon Reef build under $3,000. So I'm going to go ahead and I might do a couple Schedule 80 fittings here and there, but majority will be all Schedule 40 PVC piping. But I really wanted to get this started as soon as possible and get this thing indoors, or I should say indoor ready, because as winter is on its way, I don't have many more days left that I'm going to get 60 degree or higher weather. It's only going to get colder from this point onward, so getting this indoors and out of the garage, and not having to deal with freezing cold temperatures outside and trying to leak test that and that kind of weather, it's not going to happen, and I don't want to wait that long, and there's no way I'm going to leak test this thing inside. So My goal in the next couple of weeks is to get the plumbing completely done and wrapped up and get this thing indoors. But before I finish all of that, I need to make sure my sump is in place and everything. So I already have everything I need for the aquarium, minus a few small things like a test kit. So I have the sump, which I will show you in an unboxing video here shortly of what I went with and why, and what my end goal for this tank is. But for the next immediate problem is dealing with the stand. So the current way that it's set up and the supports, I'm going to have to re-engineer this because the sump I picked out wouldn't fit. I was debating this thing for weeks on what sump to get. Should I make my own? And regardless of whatever I went with, there were only a few options that would actually fit without me having to remove supports or redo the stand, and I highly considered it because it's a lot of extra effort. But I wanted to make sure that my first go at this gives me as much room for error as possible, so I went with an extra large sump that would fit perfectly in here. I just need to remove the supports. But stay tuned, I got a bunch of content coming your way. I have so much to share, and I am so excited to be doing this with all of you. You guys have been amazing and supportive. I have never been in a more awesome community. So right on, Fish Fam, and thank you guys for so much support. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking or subscribing to see what I got coming down the road, and feel free to comment. I'd love to have more discussion with you guys. So for those of you that don't know, I do host a Discord server for the fish keeping community. I will be playing a little advert at the end of this video so you guys can get more information. But feel free to come join. At the moment, it's mainly geared towards freshwater keepers, so we definitely have a lack of the saltwater presence in there, so hopefully we can get some more in there. We recently just hit our 100 member mile mark. And I have some cool projects going on as well. I am in the process of creating a kind of like a chat bot for it that I'm hoping to expand upon eventually. I have a lot of ideas, so maybe I'll go over those in more detail later down the road. But until then, fish on, Fish Fam, and I will catch you guys next time. Hey, are you new to the fish keeping hobby, or are you a veteran with experience you'd like to share with others? Either way, why don't you come and join the rest of the community in the discussion on the Fishy Business Discord server. Discord is a community-driven chat application.
Freshwater, saltwater, shrimp, and more.
Our community grows every day. All are welcomed, and we would love if you would join us.
You can find links to the server and the application in the description below.
And as always,
we thank you for watching the video.
So fish on, Fish Fam, and we'll see you there.